Oh boy, we are live. Gonna make sure I give our friends a minute to show up this morning before I welcome everybody this evening to PRO EDU Critiques. We've got 2 friends with us so far. Friends, hi, where are you visiting us from? If you are watching already tonight, please say hi in the comments so we know who's here with us. We'll give the rest of our friends out in interwebs land a few more minutes to show up. Who do we have with us today? Dennis. Hi, Dennis. I hope you're well today, friend. Thanks for joining us. We've got 5 friends. Who else is here today? I see we've got some friends joining us on YouTube today. Let me hear from you guys in the comments. Say hi so we know who you are. All right. Looks like our friends are starting to show up today. Hello, friends in Facebook land. All right, everybody, welcome back to PRO EDU Critiques with the Photographers Roundtable. Today, we are having another amazing critique show with some members of the Photographers Roundtable. And before we get started, there are a few things that I want to talk about. Shout out to Bassam. Hi, Bassam. Thank you for joining us today. So one of the things I wanted to mention before we get started with critiques today is something called visual literacy. Had the pleasure of being able to talk about this morning with some amazing folks. And I wanted to bring it up before we started the critiques today because it bears heavily on how we critique images. Visual literacy is basically our ability to decipher, decode, interpret the things we see, and assign those things meanings. And that is very important to photographers, obviously, as those of us in a visual field who are making visual art meant to be consumed and seen and interpreted by viewers. And so our ability to first understand the kinds of things that we include in the frame and then make sure we include the right things so that it communicates properly to the viewers is one of our main jobs as visual artists. And so as we critique today, and as you critique from the audience, remember, you get to share your critiques in the comments section. Keep in mind things like, where is the camera angle in relation to the subject? Has it put the viewer in a position of power over the subject, or has it put the subject in a position of power over the viewer? Is the subject looking at the camera? Are they asking for direct interaction with the viewer? Or is the viewer meant to view the image vicariously, where the subject is not even aware of the camera? What kind of colors are used in the images, and what do those colors mean in the context in which they're included? What is the environment like? What does the environment say about who is in the photograph, the subject of the photograph, and what the photographer is trying to communicate? What is the lighting like? Is it meant to merely flatter the subject, or is it helping to tell the story and explain something about the idea or the environment or the character? What is the costuming or the clothes or the wardrobe like? So all of these little things tie together to help us interpret the things that we see. And that is the kind of thing that we're going to be looking at today when we critique these images. And I hope they're the kinds of things that you look at today when we share the images so that you can contribute really meaningfully to the conversation and help these amazing photographers who have submitted their work learn more about how their work is impacting viewers. All right, guys. So really quickly, hi to Pablo. Welcome, my friend. Good morning, I believe. Is it morning for you? No, it's gotta be afternoon for you too, right? Tell me what time it is. Hello, Joe. Welcome in San Francisco. John, welcome back. Welcome back. I got you, I think this time. I gotcha. We gotcha. All right, so joining me today, as usual, is the wonderful and the lovely and the master storyteller, Kelly Robitaille. Thank you for being here again, my lady.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Don't mind my mess. I said earlier I just moved, so my house is right off, so please ignore everything going on behind me.
Kelly has been through a long and arduous move. Yeah, so... But we're so glad to have you back with us today, Kelly, because it's always amazing to hear. And I missed your face.
I missed you. I missed everybody. It's good to be back, and hopefully we start to feel a bit of normalcy happening here soon. So, because my brain can use it.
Yeah. Moving is always relatively traumatic. Like there's always like body, mind, soul things that happen
I
when you have
thought
to
I was
move.
prepared, and I was not prepared. And not only was I not prepared for the move, but I also was not prepared for finishing up school with the kids and trying to unpack, and my husband working out of town, and I'm just like, I'm spent. So I thought for sure this week I'd be back up and running. I thought I was going to have a nice setup here. I had all these great plans, but it all fell through. So you've got.
But you're here. You're here now.
I'm here.
So, yes. All right. Oh, it looks like it is nighttime down there. All right. Good to know. So I can say good evening to you. Yay. We have so many friends with us today. Thank you for being here, friends. Okay, so just to cover the rules one more time of PRO EDU Critiques, I'm going to be showing you 5 images that were selected at random by members of the community who submitted their photos for critique. We'll have about 20 seconds or so to take a look at the image before the critique begins. And during that time, really have a look at some of the things I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, things like color and camera angle and the position of the subject in the frame and lighting and subject and how that relates to the environment, all these things. So make sure to take a look at all of these things, and then the critiques will begin. Kelly and I will share our thoughts on the critique, and hopefully some other members of the Photographers Roundtable join us a little bit later. And as we do that, we really want to hear from you in the comments. So tell us what your thoughts are on the images, what could be improved, and what do you think is great. And at the end of each critique, we will score the image on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being it needs a lot of work, and 5 being world class. Lately, we have been using our phones and the calculators on our phones because it allows us to give things like 0.5s, but we've also used our hands and note cards and anything else we have, and you guys get to use your keyboard. So get ready, everybody. It is just about critique time, and we are going to begin right now.
Oh, so excited.
I know. All right. Man, my rulers are always on. It seems like I just can't get away from that. All right. Full screen mode. Here we go. Starting out wide. Gonna zoom in for a good look. All right. That is our 20-second look, or thereabouts. It's random guess. All right. So do you have any immediate thoughts, Kelly?
I do. So initially, I think it's really striking. I do find there's a lot of interest in the image. I like the palette. I think the colors are really nice. It makes me want to know more in terms of what's happening in this image. And then the closer we got into it, I noticed, I think this image, well, obviously this image is about the clothing. And I think I was really drawn to the wrinkles in the clothing. I feel like Ella here, but I noticed a lot of wrinkling in the clothing that I wish had been retouched. And I mean, it's even in the tank top and stuff, even the wrinkle under her armpit, my eye directly goes there. And those are really, really easy things to fix, and they're really impactful. So I think it's really easy to not fall into that if this image is meant to be about the clothing. I wish there was a little more light on her face. Not a lot, because I know that that's not the focal point, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more light on her face. And And the only other thing that really, really stuck out to me, well, the lines seem, there's two other things. The lines seem a bit crooked, and I wish that it had been straightened. And the statue behind her, I think the image would have been better without that statue there at all. So maybe different placement of her, maybe not having her right on the corner like that to take away some of those lines that aren't really measuring up accordingly. But those are the initial things that stuck out to me.
Sorry, I lost my mouse there for a second between my two screens. I was like, where did it go?
I was like, I can't talk like Nicole. Don't leave me hanging.
No, it was beautiful. I agreed 100%. And so a couple of comments from our friends online so far. Finger on the right hand, too wide open. And also verticality. So what you mentioned, we want some lines to be straight in there. And so I agree, Kelly. I mean, I think that it's a really interesting, like you said, it's clearly about the clothes, wanting to show the movement and the quality of the fabric in these really cool pants, which I'm sure, they have a kind of like a flower petal leg, which is really pretty. And so I love the idea of going for kind of a really bold movement, but even in this pose, when you've got these really kind of straight arms and unengaged looking hands, I think if you're going to go for poses like this, you have to be really good at that kind of dynamic movement while still looking elegant. And so we're missing a little bit of that in the arms. And I love the big hat as well. I don't mind so much not having, much light on her face for me. But what really does stick out to me is the dirty bottom of her shoe. For me, that one's like, oh, because it's right there. And so that's a rough one. Often for editorial images like these, you're usually wearing a pair of shoes that have potentially either never been worn before or only have ever been worn a few times. And you put them on to shoot and then you take them off again so that you don't end up with soles like these. But if you are shooting stuff like this, then, you need to kind of retouch these out and keep in mind that plays into the fantasy of the whole image, which is meant to be something that the viewer wants for themselves, and seeing the bottom of a dirty shoe, it doesn't really work there. And then as far as the rest of the stuff, I agree with you completely. I think, the statue doesn't really need to be there. And I think they may have potentially cleaned up the ground because it looks relatively free of junk, which is usually spaces like that. You've got some things happening there, dirt and maybe gum or other things like that. And I think, I think the photographer did a good job there. But aside from those things you mentioned, like, make sure your verticals are straight. I think the color palette's really, really pretty. I think the overall lighting is really nice. It's big and soft. And we have these, these big, soft kind of shadows to give us a hint of the movement and everything. So my only suggestion would be, if you are going to shoot things like this, like Kelly said, make sure your background is clean, and keep an eye on the bottom of the feet, but also make sure that these dynamic poses still retain some elegance, and the legs look great. If it was the legs all by themselves, they look pretty great, but the arms are a little bit rougher. So I would keep those things in mind for future shoots. Totally. So friends in the audience, what are your thoughts? It is your turn. Let us know what you think about this image, and give this photographer some feedback that they can use so that they can make stronger images in the future. We'll be looking for your comments down here. I kind of want these pants now.
I think the pants are super cool. I want to see what they look like when she's just standing there. Is it a belt? Is it an extra piece of fabric? Is it part of the leg? I don't know. It's cool.
I know.
It looks comfortable.
It does, and it has this fluttery look to it that I think is really pretty. So Dennis says, I find it a little tough to separate her from the background.
I agree.
Okay, that's fair. So maybe if you're working with natural light, this reminds me a little bit of that tunnel light that comes in when you're in an overhung area where the light's kind of filtering in. And if you're in spaces like that and you cannot make separation with just the light that you have because it's hitting everything evenly, see what you can do about narrowing your depth of field, or finding a backdrop that's not as busy so there aren't so many kind of competing lines and things. Jose is here from Guatemala. Welcome, my friend. So glad to have you here today. What are your thoughts, guys? Don't leave us hanging. It's your job now. Make the critique. Share your thoughts before we score this image, because then it will be gone. You won't be able to see it anymore.
I love this interaction with the audience and giving everybody the opportunity to sort of test their knowledge and to have their opinions on a variety of images. I think it's such a cool concept, and I love that we're doing this. And even the scoring thing I think is great. So I'm excited to see what other people have to say.
Yeah, me too. I love having that audience engagement because it feels like we get to feel like more of a community, and we're all coming together to learn from each other and to share our thoughts. And, hopefully it makes us all stronger photographers. And
Definitely.
And don't be scared, guys. There's no such thing as a wrong answer here. This is all of us kind of working together to be of service to the photographers who are brave enough to submit. So I think Bassam had started to type something and then we lost it. Started to mention something about the background. All right, John says, what Kelly stated I agree with. The statue and the lines need to be fixed. I'm thinking, why not go for a wall without the statue? The color is great. I feel the pants are a bit too long on the one leg that should have been pinned up a little. Ooh, very interesting. Okay, so the way it's pooling around the feet here. And that could certainly be the case. It's always hard for me to tell with images that I know are kind of meant to have a fashion editorial feel, because sometimes you will see those exaggerated shapes, or like where the things are too big or they're too long, or there's like something that's really exaggerated about it. So I always have a hard time deciding, is that something that was meant by the designer, or because I know nothing about fashion, guys. I'm the worst dressed person in the world. So
I was excited about the pants because that's what my pants do, because I'm so short. I'm fashionable now, so we're good. Let's not talk about the pants.
Yep. Would have used at least a light to reveal the face and the hat texture. Okay, that's fair. So maybe just pop a little something underneath there. I would be interested to see this in black and white. I really wonder, I have a feeling that we probably would just lose everything. I've got a feeling that we would just, I'm going to throw this on there real quick. Let's see. And let's just go with a regular old contrast and definitely interesting. Of course, if this is, a fashion goodie, we don't want to lose the color there. And the color's so pretty also. All right, Bassam says, I wonder if it was taken in a landscape with more of the background, it might have worked better, but I agree. The background takes away from the boldness of the pose. All right, so it seems like everybody's pretty much in agreement here, and it is time to score this image. So now that you've given your critiques, it is time to come up with a score. Remember, we're working on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being it needs a lot of work, 5 being it is world class. And it is time to score the image. I'm trying to, where's my calculator? I don't even know how to work my phone at this point.
Out because I feel like last time I was so harsh.
I don't think there is such a thing. Like, I think we just get to, say what we think. And all right, here we go, everybody. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
Same. We can't see it because of my lights. It won't focus, but I said 2.5. Kelly said 2.5. Same. We've got a 3 from William, and a 3 from Jacoby. So it looks like pretty close. We're pretty close in there. So if this one so far looks like it's like 2.75 if we had to kind of stick all these together. So let's check and see who this photographer was. Got to bring that back up. Fahim Farouk. All right. Fahim, thank you so much for sharing your image with us today. And it is time now to move on to the next image. Here we go. Since you can see them now, we know who they are. I have to figure out a way around this, but I'm too lazy. Okay, here we go. Our 20 seconds starts now. Let's start zoomed out. Let me make sure that the image is by itself and doesn't have our mugs in there, so we can see thumbnail. There's no keeping track of this mouse, I swear. All right, so thumbnail size. It is time for critique. So friends in the audience, if you see anything that you think could be improved about this image, please share your thoughts. What are you thinking, Miss Kelly Robitaille?
All right. So initially, again, I thought the color palette was really cool. I like the red lips and the warm tones of the face and the cool tones of the background and the rest of the body and the towel. I think it's really interesting immediately. She's beautiful, and the retouching seems pretty well done. I did notice a couple things. There's a spot right kind of here by her nose where I think it could be cleaned up a little bit, just because everything looks so polished. And then also just on her chin, kind of right here, like it looks kind of cakey. And everything else looks so beautiful. And I love that they've retained like the wrinkles under her eyes and, you know, the hair. I love that all that's been kept in this image. It's just that little bit of finessing in that area, I think would make a huge difference. Initially, from afar, I thought that the towel behind her was a break in the light, like maybe a window. And then once you zoomed in, I realized that it was part of the towel. So I would almost prefer for that not to be there. I think it would streamline the image a little bit more. And the only other thing that immediately came to me was how bright she is on the top of her face. And I don't mind that because I understand that the focus is on her eyes. But with her nose being dark, it seems out of place. I wish the nose had more light on it too, which is just the way it's shot. I'm not sure if you would want to spend the time rectifying that in retouching. But I think if the light was brightened up on her nose just a little bit, because that's all I see. She reminds me of, what's the blueberry girl from Willy Wonka when she starts to go blue?
Violet Beauregard.
Violet, right. And she doesn't look like a blueberry. She's beautiful, but just that blue on the nose, that's immediately what it makes, and I can't not see it anymore. So I do wish that there was a bit more light on her nose. I don't know what the intention of this image is. If it's a portrait, is it like, are we selling jewelry, her earrings? Is it makeup? I'm not really sure. So I think I would like to know from the photographer what the intention of the image is. But overall, I think it's a really pretty portrait.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, so I know that this photographer was inspired by Jay Mayhew, who's one of our instructors here at PRO EDU. So there's inspiration going on there. And I agree with you, Kelly. I think the color palette's really beautiful. I love the combination of the blue tones and the warm tones, the red and the blue and the orange in her skin and her really beautifully colored eyes. I mean, my God, that is a gorgeous brown. Yeah. It's almost amber, which is so lovely. And it has a kind of definitely a beauty portrait feel to me. Like, you know, this is a concept of a beautiful woman getting ready for a night out, and she's had her hair tied up and maybe she's done her makeup and her things, and now she's, you know, getting ready to do her hair or something like that. But I mean, everything that you said, I think is spot on. Excuse me, all of a sudden my throat just got really dry. New Mexico strikes again.
You're drinking water, I'm drinking beer. Cool.
I know. I can't, you know what? It's so, Kelly, you have to drink so much water here just to survive. So I don't like desiccate and become all wilted away. But so the things that I think can be improved here. So number one, I think her hands are a little bit tight in the crop. I think we're cropped probably in the wrong place. And for an image like this, although I understand wanting to keep the towel in, if this is the crop that you have to work with, just for me, I don't mind cutting off the towel and focusing on the face. So for me, I would find something like this, especially, ooh, magic mouse strikes again, especially if we remove this towel here, much more engaging for a few reasons, but because it's focused on her face, we still get the effect of the light coming through maybe blinds or something in the background. And what we lose is this, she has her chin down a little bit too much. And the reason I say that is because anytime somebody poses up into their shoulders and their chin line intersects, I guess it's on this side for you guys, their chin line intersects their shoulder like this, we lose their neck entirely. So it almost looks like their head is sitting on top of their shoulders. So, and it's difficult, especially, she looks like she probably has her elbows up. So what you want to do is have her, you know, press down with her shoulders a little bit, and you can have her drop her chin still so that she has that kind of coquettish engagement with her hands. But what you don't want is for her to sink and lose all of this neck. That long neck really makes her look elegant and makes the composition where her neck meets her shoulder, which is a really beautiful line on a woman, play into that look of elegance. So right now, where her chin is down so far, we lose all of that line and she just looks kind of compacted. So when you're looking at a shot like this in the future, make sure that you encourage your model to keep her shoulders down. And then when you're shooting her, just be careful that you don't lose her neck down into her shoulders. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And then the other thing is, I love the use of the spotlight on the eyes, but I think this one is a little bit messy. And Kelly mentioned, you know, the blue that's happening on the nose. I think if you play with your BOGO a little bit, try bringing it a little bit closer to the model and see if you can get that line a little bit cleaner. Not that a soft line is bad, but when it looks like our light source is coming through blinds, having that line across the eyes makes it look like really intentional and like the light in the scene is lighting up her face. So I would play with that a little bit, because then we also end up getting a little bit of light on her fingernails, which draws the eye over here also, and to her earring. So I think those are just some things to keep in mind for future shots like this. And then also when you are retouching, you know, Kelly mentioned we have a couple areas in here. We've got our fuzz, you know, our lady fuzz, our extra hairs. And when you're up close like that, those can be really distracting because they catch the light. So don't remove those, but you can dodge and burn them a little bit so they're not as noticeable. And when we come in, like if you were to print this at any size, these little guys really stand out because of the way that they catch the light. So just watch out for those. And then the only other thing is when you're retouching any kind of a beauty image, even if it's a beauty portrait image, don't forget to dodge and burn out here too. Because if we have these really beautiful, smooth transitions, we want these really beautiful, smooth transitions also, so that it feels like it's coherent all the way across the image. And you can see, and this is just the nature of blue light, but we get lots of the graying in the skin, and you can see them here, and it runs up into here, goes across here, right across here. So those are things that you can dodge just to help even out the transitions, not to change the shape of her body, but just to make sure that the light is transitioning really smoothly across there. So those are the things for me that I think would be improvements. But on the whole, beautiful lady, lovely, you know, idea and putting everything together. Love the color contrast. Really strong shot, I think, overall. And then I would just do those things. And Pablo said, yep, it's just a beauty portrait. So something really pretty for the lady.
And I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a great portrait.
Agreed. And if somebody took this portrait of me, I would be super happy with it. I would be like, look at me.
Yeah.
So some feedback from our audience. Love this. The lighting is well done and controlled. The color palette is great. Very nice work. Crop against the fingers feels a little tight. Agreed. Very amazing picture. I note a round light on the face, which discontinues the parallel light on the background. The lips are not enough lit, so a little kind of around what my thoughts were as well.
You're welcome.
The towel and earrings sounds not really aligned if subject matter just from the shower. So think about it this way, William. Sometimes when we're getting ready, we leave our hair in a towel for a long time so we can do other things and then dry our hair later. That way the towel soaks up some of the moisture. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. Maybe not for most of us, and we just cruise around looking like, you know, wet hags. I'm sure that there's ladies out there in the world who get themselves fabulous like this.
In my mind, I get ready like this, okay?
Right? I wake up like this in my own head. Thank you very much. Yes, I chose to leave more of the towel. I use speed lights, and they have no modeling light. So that is always a challenge. So well done there. Lots of really fantastic feedback. Right on. I get the blue light, but wonder if her body was a little closer in color to her face. Not a lot, but some. And I could see that, Dennis. Just to kind of make her feel like she has one actual skin tone. All right, friends, now it is time to score this image. So if you have any other feedback, get it in now. And if you don't, it's time to score. So we're going to give ourselves a couple seconds. Okay, I think I'm ready. All right, friends in the audience, type in your score, hit the return button or the enter key or whatever it is that you use, and let us know what you think. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, poof. That's okay. Well, we have to keep in mind, I think, too, when we're looking at the different scores that people have, they have a different frame of reference, right? And you retouch images from magazines. So there's a standard there that you are looking at for a beauty image to reach a certain level. Most of what I do, although I have retouched plenty of beauty stuff, was all for my own work and pleasure and not to meet any specific standard other than my own. And also now most of what I do is fantasy stuff. So my frame of reference has changed, so it makes sense that we would be approaching that from a different perspective. All right, so we're pretty far across, which means if we're getting some 4s, some 3s almost, some 2s ranges, I think probably 3, 5 seems like a fair shake out of squishing all these different scores together. All right, everybody, it is time for the next image. Get ready. I don't know why I need to do voices, but I just need to do voices.
No, I love it doing it.
Here we go. All right, very different from what we just started out with. We're going to start out with a little bit of a thumbnail so we get a feel for the overall composition. Rulers forever. If you can hear my pug breathing heavily, I apologize. She has a very small nose. All right. So I'll go ahead and start this time since I made Kelly go first 2 times already. I think for a documentary shot, this one is effective. We have a good sense of place. We know that we're in a market. We know that it's busy and crowded and full of life. Dennis asks if this is reportage or if it's street photography, and we don't actually have that answer. So we get to make the best guess that we have given what is available to us in the image. So since there is a logo on it, my guess is that it's street photography. I think probably for a reportage shot, maybe somebody would not have included that, but that's just a wild guess. So we know we're in a market, it's busy, it's full of people, and it's full of color, it's inside somewhere. The things that I like about this shot, I think that the photographer has framed the subject really well. We're focused on this gentleman here. He's got this kind of bright blue scarf that's contrasting with this red shirt, which is nice. And we've got orange and blue. So he's centered with a shallow enough depth of field that he really is the focus. And I think it's pretty clear, even though the subject is also kind of the overall market itself and the interactions that are happening there. I like that we have a sense of rhythm here with these lines. There's kind of a really nice rhythmic feel to that, which also is echoed a little bit in the kind of rhythm of all of these different men. You know, we've got kind of a really like rhythmic feel to the image, which I think plays into the overall feel of busy and crowded and full of life and color. And even I can hear this image almost, you know. So I think as far as a piece of street photography that is toward reportage, I think it is a perfectly fine image. I think the only thing that we're lacking for shots like this to hit that, you know, 5 level when they start to become world class is something that Henri Cartier-Bresson called, oh no, I just lost it. I can't believe I just lost it. Somebody in the comments help me. I know you guys know the moment. What's it called? It is gone. Okay, I'm waiting on you guys to help me out here. But basically, it means that instant where everything in the image with the photographer's intention comes together to make perfect harmony, basically. Definitive moment, John, I knew somebody would have me. The decisive moment. Dennis, thank you guys. I knew you'd have my back. Yes, the decisive moment, that instant where everything comes together and we have the shot that has harmony. I don't know even a better way to describe it, but it's where the location and the subject matter and the intention all just click. And the very best street photography, the very best reportage will have those things and will often come together with the right light and the right composition and all of those things. So when we're kind of measuring street photography, that's the measure that we use. Does it get up to that point? And so many of the images over the years we have seen, you know, the iconic ones will really stand out for that exact reason. So I think this one falls short of that. But as far as, you know, recording a bit of reality and a bit of the feel of a place, I think this is successful in that regard. Jacoby says, something feels off compositionally about the two people in the foreground. It definitely does skew the weight of the image toward the left a little bit. I would agree with you there. Miss Kelly, what do you think?
So this is totally out of my wheelhouse. This is not something I do. This is not something I know about. Right off the bat, I will say I was really drawn to the fact that the one side is very warm and the other side is very cool. And I love that. I don't know if that was intentional, but I mean, great job there, because that's the first thing that struck me. So from an artist point of view, my thought process went to, okay, we're in a market, but what is the product? What are we selling? What are we looking at? What are they discussing? So I wanted to know that story, and I didn't really feel like the story there was enough in this image for me to fully understand what the intention was behind it. And and then again, from my perspective, I would have liked to see maybe a little more contrast or some color grading, that type of thing. But that's also more fine art than street photography, or, you know. Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard for me. I agree with everything you said. I like the way things line up. I love that there is some kind of color harmony going on here that, again, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but like, that's drawing me in. It's so far out of my realm of what I do that I want more of a story.
Whoa.
That's not it.
No, and that's nobody's business either.
Weird. Yeah, so
I don't need to see my stuff I do for my job.
Nobody saw it. It was down real quick. That's just between friends. What? But yeah, I mean,
No,
I love the focuses on the guy in the plaid in the middle. I feel like I could be his friend, and
he does have kind of a kind face, doesn't he?
He does. He looks like a grandpa. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I wish I could give more feedback, but my feedback would be, look at the wrinkles in the guy's shirt in the front. But it doesn't really matter. So.
No, I mean, you know what? That's fair, because I think that's part of the fun about what we do, is that we're bringing photographers from different places together to kind of give it a crack, right? And to see what we think. And for the most part, when people see our images, they're not other photographers. They're people who most of the time don't even have any experience in photography. And so, you know, being able to have those differences, I think, even when it's something that's really outside of our comfort zone, I think that's still a really great place to get into. So
this is a great learning exercise for me, this image, because I don't often look at images like this to critique. So
sure.
I appreciate this image.
Yeah, absolutely. It is an exercise for us as well. So, okay, so I shared this one. I feel a gender inequality in the environment. No women. The color palette looks very interesting. The moment speaks for itself. So, and I think that that's a really good, I had noticed that a little bit as well. It's one of those cultural things that I don't feel equipped to comment on, because I don't know enough about the culture in order to say, you know, in order to say one way or the other. So that's something that I just don't feel like is fair for me. I feel like as a street photograph, the light and the patterns are great. I'm a bit worried about the two people in the front. I would have waited until another split second and got them on the edge a bit more. That way I can see more of what's on the table. I think that's fair. I mean, give a second for these guys to come towards you a little bit more, so we have more of a view there. That's certainly a way to approach that. And I think for me, what this does, or what the current composition does, even though it's a little bit heavy on the left, is it makes me feel really crowded. You know, when I look at it, I feel like there's not enough there. It's not enough open. Like, I would be super uncomfortable in a spot like this. And I feel like I kind of feel that. So for me, I don't mind that much, but I definitely can understand why that would be a good thing to do. All right, guys. So if you have any more critiques, get them in now. We're going to start trying to score this image. And given none of us here, neither Kelly or myself, are street or reportage photographers. Ooh, I'm just whacking tables here. So keep that in mind when we score. Dennis said, a little dodging and burning to help focus the viewers. I could help. A little darkening on the two guys in the foreground and a little bit on the background, not the guy in the center. That's certainly a retouching technique that this photographer could use to help draw the viewer's eye. Absolutely. Oh boy. So making my best guess here, friends. All right, I got my best guess. Friends in the audience, it's time to score the image on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being really needs work, 5 being world class. Push the button. Let us know what you think, and we're gonna share. Kelly, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 5, 2, 5, a couple more 2 5s, some 2 7s, more 2 5s.
So initially I wanted to score it a little bit lower, but I really love the contrast between the cool and the warm, and I feel like it's intentional, so I I had to up my score.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So it seems like we're all kind of falling around the 2.5 area for the most part. So this photographer, oh, I hit the button too many times, guys. Can't keep up. Suraj Bandri. So thank you so much, Suraj, for sharing the image with us. I hope those critiques helped you. Time to go to the next image. Here we go, friends. So as you notice, we lose some of the saturation anytime we go big for some reason. Can't help it. I'm sorry. All right, start in thumbnail size. All right. What are we thinking? Friends in the audience, what are you thinking about this image? What are your thoughts? Miss Kelly, are you thinking anything yet?
I'm thinking. So my first thought was, it looks very bottom heavy. And that's why I was cropping it in my mind. So I think it's probably the angle of the photographer. If they had have just shot up a little bit, it would have made a huge difference. Or we need to change the crop because she feels very large on the bottom and she doesn't look like she's a big girl. So I think that the angle of the shot's doing her a little bit of a disservice. I think she's beautiful. I really like the light in this image. I don't know, like there's movement in the hair, but I'm not seeing movement on any other part of her body. So I would have maybe liked to see a hand up or something instead of just a dangling arm. The retouching for me looked pretty good. I noticed she has like a little guy in her nose right here. A pimple, I think maybe, but I'm not sure. Like little things like that I think are important to get rid of. See them?
Here?
Yeah, note down. Right there, yeah. Like that really stuck out to me. I would have liked to see more light in her one eye because one eye feels very bright. The other one is darker. And obviously it's just because of the way the light's hitting her, but that's a really easy fix. And it would have just, I think, helped balance the image if both her eyes were equally bright. And I don't mind the flyaways. I think there's a few that could be touched up just to finesse the whole image. And the only other thing that I really noticed in terms of retouching and drawing my eye, like even this crop I think is better than showing her whole lower body. But if you're going to keep her body where the fabric meets where her nipples would be, are we allowed to say that? Are we going to get kicked off?
No, you mean if I zoom in there?
No, I meant if I say it. Is that a word?
Oh, I hope not. That's stupid. What if we're talking about sheeps or something, or cows?
I think that just some retouching there would have helped the image as well, because it's not her nipples, it's the fabric. So I think that's something that personally I would have retouched. But all in all, like I like the tones of the image. I like the warmth in her hair and her skin tone and her outfit and the blue, like that coolness in her eyes. I think it's really, really pretty. But those are those are things I would have changed for sure. And I just think, I think a different crop on this would make a world of difference.
Yeah, I agree. So before I share my thoughts, let me grab some of our friends here in the audience. Shannon says, a lot of good points in this photo, but the cracked lips and the badly fitting top are very distracting, also the skin tone. And I'm not sure how much of it is coming across through monitors and then the interwebs, but the skin is very magenta. And that, I think, let me go back here, because in part, whenever we zoom in, it gets desaturated. So dang it, I pushed the button too many times. So I don't know if you can tell here, there's a lot of magenta in the skin, which on my screen is even more noticeable. So I would definitely have pulled that out. But the things that you said so far, Kelly, I completely agree. The top needs work. I think the pose. So there's two things happening with the pose. One, this beautiful line. So when I talked about necklines before, this is the kind of thing I was talking about. This is something when you watch dancers, particularly ballet dancers and ballroom dancers, there's always really beautiful lines happening, and it's cultivated. You know, it's very carefully cultivated. The tilt here instead of here. Those things are really, really elegant. And so I love that part of the image. I have no idea why this is a thing. It doesn't contribute anything to the shot, which seems to be a nice portrait, or intended to be a nice portrait. And this almost, in a way, and there's foreshortening happening there as well, which almost makes me feel like, you know, it's a hidden selfie. Like I was holding it out here, so I thought nobody could see, but you know, this is happening. And so that part of it, I think, just does not add anything at all to the image. And she's beautiful. And I love the character and her chin. And there's a lot of really fantastic things there. And I love that this was a really, really natural retouch. So for the most part, you know, we don't have like hyper perfect skin or anything. And I think that fits really well with what seems to be the intention of the photograph. But the other thing that is a little bit strange to me is the makeup seems to have no tie in, like this line. If we're doing a contrasting beauty thing, that's one thing, but this doesn't feel like that. This feels like just a portrait. And this is the taste issue, because if this is how she likes her regular makeup, then that is 100%, you know, everybody gets to wear the makeup they love. But for me, that's just a strange contrast with the kind of overall softness of the shot. But the last thing I would say is that there are times when you go to edit an image and this happens, and there are times when, just because of the colors in the environment, this happens, but all of this is gray. There's no color in it. We've completely lost the saturation here. And this doesn't look like the kind of thing where we have a color contrast that's really nice, where the shadows are like a cool color and then the highlights are a warm color. This looks like a loss of color, and it looks unhealthy. So sorry, I'm saying a lot today. So I would, when you're going to retouch this shot, I would push a little bit of color and saturation back into those shadows. And just let me see if I can play with something really quick, just to show you what the difference might be. Different screens. Nothing can be in one place. What I'm doing is I'm doing an apply image here so that it creates its own mask, a black and white mask on the image. And then I'm going to press Command M, which will bring up a curves adjustment. And what I'm going to do is find out where this sits. And then I'm going to get rid of everything except for where that sits, so I can really control where the mask is being applied. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to start pushing some color into that if I can. And you can start to see some of it show up, right? And of course, that might take a little bit of masking. And option click and drag this up here if we want to, and start pushing that up some. So you can see what starts to happen. And obviously that was just really super quick, but whoops, you can see what starts to happen when we bring some of the color and saturation back into the shadows. Of course, this is applying it to some other places as well. This was just kind of a quick grab, but you get the idea. So I would do that. And then just be careful of the posing, you know, just be careful that you're putting the pose in a way that makes sense for what you're trying to convey about the subject, and also adds to the image and doesn't pull away from it. So we'll grab some more things. Oh, Kat has joined us today. Hello, Kat. Welcome, my lady. Tim says, the color is nice, the expression and lighting, the crop seems off. Can't type, color is nice, like the expression and lighting, crop seems off. So Tim, looks like we got you in a couple different spots there. Her pose seems uncomfortable. That is, she looks like she's pulling away, and combined with the expression, it feels like a tinge of revulsion. I could see that. We crop from the base of the shoulders to the face. The dress is out of focus, so the texture is not of interest. The expression is very interesting. This needs to be cropped to lose the bottom and left arm. It's quite off balance. The color palette is nice. Less hair across the face. Eyes are beautiful. Her neck is nice too. The angle of the light is great. So it seems like we're all kind of in agreement here. So this photographer, boy, Chelano, I'm going to murder your name because I can't tell where your first name ends and your last name starts. So thank you for submitting this image. That's my fault, not your name's fault. Thank you for submitting this image. It gave us a lot to look at and to be able to enjoy this lovely model. And I think even crops up in here would have been stronger. So my dog is going to try to eat whoever's at the door. She doesn't even have a mouth. So keep those things in mind. And thank you for submitting the image. And oh my goodness, is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was it. That was it for today. So it's time to score this shot, everybody. So friends in the audience, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being it really needs work, 5 being world class, it is time to give this image a score. Oh man. All right, here we go. We're gonna do the thing. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, our audience friends are showing us some of their scores. $375. Jacoby, I would be interested to know why 375. So share that in the comments. The rest of us seem to have landed somewhere in the 2 range. So I think images like this have a lot of promise, and then it just becomes paying attention to the subtleties and making sure that you're really intentional about what is included in the frame. Also, Nicole said around 2.5. So before we close today, big thanks again to everybody who submitted. You guys are the real MVPs. Not only do you feel brave enough to send in an image for everybody to be able to critique, but also you've given us something that is helping us learn together and grow together as photographers, and that can't be overstated. So thank you guys so much for sharing. I am going to be on vacation for the next 2 weeks. So we're going to be missing our critique show, unfortunately, for the next couple weeks, but we will be coming back strong. We're going to have some really exciting guests with us, some instructors from the PRO EDU community, some other amazing photographers at large. I'm also going to see if I can snag artists from other fields to come in and have a look at our photographs. I'm going to see if I can grab some illustrators and some painters to come in and give their perspective from their perspective, give their thoughts from their perspective as non-photographers who still work in a visual field. So going to really kind of bring in a lot of amazing people. And I hope we will see you guys here too, so that you can come and learn and grow with us as part of the Pro EDU community. So as we shut down, Jacoby says, I really enjoyed the expression and the colors. I would only need it to be cropped. All right. Totally fair. Tim says, love these critiques. Very helpful in every way. Thank you guys for all you do. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for showing up and giving your thoughts right along with us. First time attending, would like to participate next time. Right on. William, let me grab. I should have this ready, guys, and I'm going to do a better job for this. I'm sorry. We have a form. All you got to do is fill it out and send in your image, and it goes into the pool. So let me share that link with you all. I will put it in the comments. That way, anybody who would like to submit can do so. I think I might have hit the button twice because everything's going so slow right now. I did hit the button twice. That's okay. So all you have to do, choose what image you would like to have critique, name it with your name, and then a 1 or a 2 if you're submitting multiple images. And make sure you include your email address so we can reach out to you if your image is coming up for critique. And if it doesn't show up right away, don't worry. These images go into a pool and they get chosen at random every week. So if it doesn't show up the week that you submit, it could show up at any time in the future. So if you have submitted and for whatever reason your email didn't go through or you weren't notified, all of these are on the Pro EDU YouTube channel, so you can go back through all of the critiques, see which images were critiqued, even give your thoughts in the comments if you would like to, and you can go have a look at those and learn from those at any time. So, love these critiques too. Please come back soon. Shannon, will do. I'm really excited for all the good stuff. And some of the ladies who are part of the Photographers Roundtable, Olga and Ella and Kate, they just have a whole bunch of life stuff going on right now. But they will be back with us as well. Kate has moved and Olga's got, she's getting ready to come visit me actually. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So, but they will be back and super excited to have everybody together, plus our guests. And there's just a lot of really cool stuff coming up. And also, if you didn't know, right now at Pro EDU, we have a free, let me change this up. I don't know why we're still looking at this image. We have a free tutorial on proedu.com called the Air Dusties, the complete build. Go check that out, completely free. All you have to do is put it in your cart, fill out the information, and we will get it to you. You get to go check it out and watch it. It will teach you everything that you need to know about what it's like to build CGI products for commercial purposes. So you get to build from the ground up. You're going to learn how they get modeled. Well, even starting with a creative brief. So what it's like to work with a client when they give you a creative brief, to then build and model it from the ground up, to include the textures and all of the coloring, how you unwrap it so that you can put the textures and the color on it, how you render it, how you light it, even how you retouch it in post-production for a CGI product pipeline. So it's really, really cool. It's totally free for you guys. We wanted to make sure you understand where image making is going, because CGI is already making big moves into product photography. So we want to be able to let you guys see that so you can start building those skills and see if you want to add CGI to your arsenal of image making tools. So welcome. Thank you for coming. Don't be scared. So Shannon says she wants to submit, or this could be a he as well. Shannon is 2 different. It's inclusive. So Shannon, want to submit, but I'm terrified. Please don't be afraid. We just want to encourage everybody here. I mean, we are learning together. Remember, like Kelly said, neither of us are street photographers or reportage photographers. So when we see that image, we have to learn on the fly even how to think about it. And we're learning from you guys as well. So, I mean, we're all doing this stuff together, right? And that's why it's so great to have the interaction with you guys in the audience. Okay, good. I'm glad I did not misgender you, Shannon. That makes me glad.
Photographers for the win.
Momatographers. So all you have to do Yolanta, is I put the, I commented the link. There should be, we'll do it one more time just so nobody loses it. It is just, you fill it out. It's a type form. You fill it out with your email address so we know who you are, and put your image in there. Make sure you name it with your first name and a number if you submit more than one, so that we know we can give you guys credit. And that's all there is to it. The image goes into a pool. So awesome. I think we have everybody covered. So Bobby and John and Shannon and William and Tim and Jacoby and Nicole and Dennis and Kat and everybody else who came today. Thank you guys so much for showing up and coming and being part of our community here at Pro EDU. You guys really are the reason that we exist. So grateful to have you. And the lovely Miss Kelly Robitaille, thank you so much for showing up, Miss Lady. Do you have Yay! Do you have anything going on that you want to share with folks before?
Please, I haven't had anything.
Like, do you have any more NFTs? Do you have any more NFTs for sale?
I have lots of NFTs for sale, but I have not been promoting any of them because I've been completely MIA for like 5 weeks. So I don't have anything on the go, but I'm excited to get back up and rolling with the Roundtable and to get back up and rolling with NFTs and to start being more social in the community again, because COVID and moving and my kids have kicked my behind. So I'm just living life and unpacking boxes and excited to get back and be social. So that's all I've got.
Yay. All right, guys. So 2 weeks from now is the next time we'll get together. I will not be here next Wednesday or the Wednesday after. So after that, 2 Wednesdays away, that's when you guys want to come back and join us. So make sure in the meantime you submit. Please feel free to share this with people you think could learn from it, or if you know anybody who could benefit from having their image critiqued, encourage them to share their images here. The link is in the comments. And go make amazing things. And we'll see you at the next Pro EDU Critiques with the Photographers Roundtable. Bye, everybody.
Bye.